Yes, Inanna. So today we are going to be starting topic called collections in Python. So basically, what do you mean by collections, sir? Ante? So collections are nothing but group of objects, a set of similar values or objects, I can say that. So but in Python, the advantage, like if you see, if you go for Java or C language, collection means set of or group of same kind of objects or same kind of values, okay? But in Python, to the extension, it is also collection of same type or different type also. So it is just a collection. I mean to say, it is just a group of elements that might be similar, that might be different also. So that's the first one you need to remember. Second thing, it also supports positive indexing and also negative indexing. But whereas other language will support only positive index, it does not support negative index. But in Python, it supports negative indexing also. And the last, these are all are dynamically accessible. That means whatever the data we have, so that all data we can access dynamically wherever you require through using by using inbuilt functions. So the first point, as I mentioned, so these are all, sorry, so these are all group of similar or different types of values or objects, okay? Second thing, so whatever the data we have in the collection generally will be stored, okay, sequentially. So that means one after one it will store, and that values will indicating by are represented by index number. So whatever the values which we are storing in the collection, values in the collection can be represented by, so when we want to retrieve or when we want to remove that or when we want to update them, so that can be indicated by always indexes, so index numbers, you got it. And the next one here is whatever the values we have here, like the index numbers or indices what we are using, that might be positive and negative also. So that means we can use 0 1 2 3 4, or we can also use -1 -2 -3, like that also, okay? So both can be accessible in Python mainly, but in other language it's not like that. And here this is the major difference between other language. One is other language only support similar, but here similar different types can be storable. And indexing also both positive and negative also will support in the Python when we are trying to access the data from the collections. So these are the basic things we require to understand. And also it has many inbuilt functions, like many inbuilt functions, so that will help us to do the operations on the collections. So operations are, we can say, functions, okay? And these collections in Python we have four types totally. One is list, second one tuple, third one set, and fourth one dictionary, okay? So these are the four types of collections we have in Python. So as per our requirement or as per our need, we can choose any of the respective collection, okay? But what is the difference, or what is the exactly what do you call dissimilarity between the each of this particular collection, we'll see. But the common features or common points, as I mentioned above, that is very straightforward. That means these are all collections can able to store group of elements, means multiple elements, and these are all can able to store similar different types. These are all stored sequentially, and these are all collection will indicate by index number, like that. Everything will be similar to each other. But what is the difference? So basically, indication. I'm starting with indication. So indication, list is indicating by always square brackets, tuple is indicating by square open closed bracket, okay? And set is indicating by curly brackets, okay? And similarly dictionary also indicating by curly brackets. So these are the first difference between indication or representation in each type of topic, okay? So in the list and tuple and set and dictionary, that is the first one. And coming to the second difference, list, all means this common point, as I mentioned, all are collection of values, okay? But list or tuple or set, these three can store only single value at a time, okay? So example, so for example we can say 1, okay, 2, 3, like this. Even tuple also will do the same, so it can only store single value at a time, okay? So like example, here we can store, for example, text, so it anything, okay. So as I mentioned, right, we can store any kind of data, so like this, okay. And now even set also can store single values only, curly bracket, let's assume that 1 comma, sorry, a comma, let's take at the rate, okay. So just I'm showcasing different types of storage I'm telling, but it's not mean that set only can contain like this. See, the internal data can be exchangeable. That means that inside data you can represent as a list, as tuple, or set, anything is okay, okay. And lastly, this is we call key value pairs. That is the major difference between the other to the dictionary. That means the particular dictionary will store two values at a time. So it's not like one value. Like example, for example, I'm writing a indicates 1, example, see that I'm writing a indicates 1 comma b indicates 2, like that. For example, I'm telling simple example. So each time it can be stored two values, one is called key, another one is called value. So like that we can store the multiple values in the key value as a pairs. So each time you can store two values, that kind of pairs we can store any many in the dictionary. That is the major difference between other three to dictionary, okay. And now we come back to the next point. List can be modifiable, Nana, okay. So that means whatever the data we have in the list, so whatever the elements we have in the list, you can do remove, or you can delete, you can add the new things, or you can replace the things. Whatever the operation you want to do on the data what we have in the list, we can do perform. So that nature we call mutable, okay, mutable nature. But whereas tuple, it's not like not mutable, modifiable. That means it will be constantable. I mean that whatever the data we have, it will treat as a constant. We can't modify the data. So initially what we stored, that is the final data. You cannot add or you cannot remove the data from the tuple at any cost in the Python. So that's why we call this are immutable or not modifiable, okay. So that is the difference between the list and tuple. And coming to the set, the data will be unique here, okay. So it won't allow the duplicate values. So whatever the data we have in the set, always it will be unique, so no duplicates allowed. But whereas here if you see in the list, you can store duplicates also, it allows duplicate also. Even similarly in the tuple, you can store duplicates, okay. So duplicate values we can store. And set, yes, we can change, I mean that you can modify that. So modify change, we can modify the data. It's not like not modifiable, okay. So if you observe one difference by the each one is segregated, like list is modifiable and duplicate allowed, tuple not modifiable but duplicates allowed, set we can modify but unique values will be stored, and dictionary, as I mentioned already, it is storing key values at a time. So where key is unique and value may be duplicate, and the last case it is also modifiable, so modify. So these are the major differences between the each type of the collection what we have in the Python, Anna. So based on that, so whatever the clarification I given to you, based on that you can choose which is best option for your requirement, whether you want to take the list or whether you want to take the tuple or whether you want to take for set. It is all up to your requirement now, okay. So that is how the kind of collection we can choose it, okay. So now first we will start with the list, okay. So today, so list is also, as I mentioned, it is also a collection in Python, so which is also used to store the maybe same or different types of values when we have a requirement. Like example, when we want to store simply a equal to 10 or b equal to 20, something like that. So now it's not required, but when we want to store 10 to 100, 10, 20, so 10 values means you can write a, b, c, d. It's very difficult to write multiple variables for multiple values, right? So in that place, in that situation, we can simply write val is equal to square bracket, you can write single variable. So now all the values whatever you want to store in the list, you can just define as a whole that all values as a single list and keep in a one variable. Now this each value will get stored in the respective val only, but differentiated with index, as I mentioned. For example, if you want to represent the 10, so simply we can write val of 0. Or if you want to represent the 20, so you can start with 20, val of 1. So because always remember index starts with 0, And similarly, as I mentioned already, negatives also supported. So the same value you can also mention by -5, because the last value is indicating -1, that is minus 50. The first value obviously it will be keep on incrementing. Like example, val of -4. And similarly, the last value I am representing val of 4, because it starts with 0, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, in negative it is indicating -1. So this is the way how you are retrieving the value by value in a collection. So as a whole, it is a collection, it is a single variable called val, but internally by indexing you can represent each value in the collection. And also you can represent the values using slicing also. Slicing means range. So for example, I want to get the first three values, then you can represent 0 colon 4. So which indicates the starting index is 0, but 4 is always treated as a last plus 1, I can say that. That means if you given the 4, but the outcome will be the 3 only, 0 1 2 means 0 1 3. If you want only 3 elements, you can write the 0 comma 3. So now your output will be, what is that, 10 20 30, like that. So like that you can even use the slicing. Or slicing means ranges. So indexing, we can use single or range. Again, this is also new in the Python. We don't have this option in the Java or C. Java and C we can only represent like this only, in positive way. Negative also not supported, this slicing also not supporting. Only this positive indexing only support in other language, but Python supporting these two extra features. One is negative indexing, another one is range of the indices. So up to here, any doubt, please ask me. Otherwise, I will go to the next point. Up to here, any doubt?
No, sir.
Great. Yeah. So the next point. Okay. So this list, as I mentioned, so we can store any type of data. For example, I will give you some examples. As I mentioned just before, numbers we can store. Similarly, we can store, let's take points 1.2 comma 3.4 comma 3.0, like this. So we can store decimals. Similarly, we can store strings. Okay. Or you can store mixed data also, as I mentioned already. For example, 101 Satish, for example 4.5, like this you can store the mixed data also. So these are the different examples for the list. Okay. And the next point, some basic operations which are already supported by the Python, so which are I'm indicating now. So first one, len. So len function will help you to find the length of the list. So for example, if I want to find the length of the list, which we call val, example I'm taking as a val. So here I'm taking for our simplicity. So this I'm taking. Okay. So now if I'm writing length of val, so your output will be, I hope you understand, it is 3. So now length of a length will give you the length of the list. Length means you can say or else size of the list. So how many elements are there in the list? So that will written by the length in Python. Okay. So len will always help you to get the number of elements in the collection. This is common for even other tuple or dictionary or set also. It is common for everything. Okay. And similarly we have max and min. Okay. So max, min and sum. So these three also available for all these categories. For example, if I'm writing max of val, so what is your output? I hope you understand. So maximum value of the list, that is 30. Similarly, min of val, that is 10 in this case, because it's a minimum. Similarly, we have a sum. So sum of val, here val is a list name. Okay. So total it is 60. So like that you can also use these three functions. One is max, min, sum. So any doubts as of now? Okay. So similarly, we have some inbuilt functions also given to the what do you call Python in the under the Python. So these are operations we can say. So these are functions also given. Like example, first function as we know add. So add or append. So these two we have. So add or append will add the sorry, it's not add, it's a insert. Okay. Yeah, so insert or append will help you to add the elements to the list. So whatever the list already we have, so if you want to insert a new value to the respective list, we can use either insert or append. Okay, so it's based on your like what we can say, that requirement, we can do the both the operations. Okay. Similarly, we have other operations. I will list out some of them. So count we have. Similarly, we have index, and also we have sort function we have. I will explain syntactically each one by one. And also we have reverse, so to make the reverse of the list. And we have remove. Yeah, so sorry, one more thing here in the operations also we have one more thing, del. So if you want to remove the any particular value or entire list, we can use the del keyword. So del val is indicating will remove the entire list, so will remove or deletes complete list. Okay, but whereas if you return the del of val of 0, okay, then it will remove a particular element, that is deletes the first element only. Okay, index first we indicate a val of 0, right? So it will remove the only first element. So likewise even we can use the what we can say, that del keyword also along with your operations. Okay, and that are all operations. Yeah, so now come back to the functions. So even we have like these are all the different functions. Along with that we have some more functions also, so I will also list out, and one by one we'll see syntactically how we will perform that operations. And here we have, after remove we have clear also to remove everything from the list. And also like extend we have. Okay, so append and extend we can say that. So extend also we have, as I mentioned, and we have as like remove we have pop also, and reverse and sort. Yeah, so these are the different functions which commonly we used in the list nana. We'll see one by one. I will take example val only. Okay, so 10 comma 20 comma 30, we'll give example for each one based on using this. But see, operations and functions, that only difference. In operations we will pass the list as a argument, like this. Okay, but here functions we will call by the list name. Like example, if you see here, we'll write val dot. So that is the one difference you need to remember. So when we are using the these functions, we should use list dot, so that list name initially, then we have to use the dot operator. Okay, so now you see first one, val dot. For example, insert, I'm writing 1 comma, for example I'm using 100. Okay, so it means we require, this means the insert command or function will trigger that the value what we are supplying, the second value will insert at the position of the 1, I mean the first position. So your result will be now 10 comma 100 comma 20 comma 30. Okay, so now I hope you understand. So insert operation will help you to insert any element at your required position, so at your required placement. Okay, that is the help of the insert. So anyone have any doubt as of now? Insert operation up to insert, any doubt? Clear everybody? Hello, can anyone confirm? Okay, so similarly append also will help you to insert the data only, but by default append will add the data at the last position. It doesn't give the option to add at required position. Okay, so that means if you are giving val dot append, the outcome will be now 10. Let's take, I will consider as a starting only, as the starting only reference. So 20 30 as a 40. So now you will get output like this. So here in insert we have an option to mention the position where you want to insert, but in the append we don't have such option. The defaultly the value will be appended at the last position only, always. Okay. And similarly, if I'm taking an example, val dot append as a list example, I'm again in the append I'm mentioning as a one more list example 40 comma 50. Okay. So now how the outcome will be, sir, ante it will treat as a sublist again. Okay, 10 20 30, now again 40 comma 50 and squares and like this. Yeah, so I hope you understand the difference. So if you use the val dot append as a list, it will add a list inside a list, so it will treat it, it will create a nested list, so list within the list. Okay, but the same if you use the extend, that is only the difference between extend append, but the same extend if you use, it will merge the list, it won't create a nested list, it will merge the list. So extend always will help you to combine the two lists or extending one list to another list. That is what exactly the meaning of extend. So extend will help you. So for example, val dot extend, if I'm writing and if I'm passing same example 40 comma 50 here like this, now your expected output you see 10 20 30 40 50. So this is the major difference between extend and append, and even many interviews also they will ask what is the difference between append and extend. So this is the major difference between append and extend. And now count will give you the number of occurrences. So whatever the element we are asking, so how many times that is there in the respective list will give you the output. For example, val dot count of, if I'm giving 10, so now 10 is how many times is repeatedly there in the list, so it is only one time, so it will return the one. Like that, if you want to find the how many times that value is there in the list, so then that will be used by the, or that will be given by the count function. Okay, any doubts as of now? Any doubts as of now? For example, here I am taking 10 because as I mentioned 10 also acceptable. Okay, so after 20 I'm adding 10 for everything, so for your understanding. Okay, so now what is the count of the 10? It will be 2 now because 2 times it is occurred. Okay, and now similarly val dot index of given value, same, if I'm giving index, so it will give you the first occurrence when it is available in the list, where it is available for the first time. So if you consider the 10, it is available for the first time with the 0 index. Similarly, if I'm passing val dot index of 20, now where it is anyway 1 only there, so that straight away it will give the 1. So index always will give you the where the particular value is available or where that particular element is available in the respective list, so that will give you by the index function. Okay, and anyway the sort is straight away is telling. So how the sort will be happen, generally sort will use it to either ascend the data or descending the data. So if you want to ascend the data, we can use directly val dot sort. So now your outcome will be 10 comma 10 comma 20 comma 30. But if you want to sort the data in what I can say, that descending order, so then we have to give that val dot sort, and here we have to pass reverse is equal to true. So this we have to pass. Once you pass this keyword as to the sort, then the output will be 10 20 10 comma 10. So any doubts as of now? So these are all functions which are inbuilt available. So whenever we want to use these all functions, you can use directly. So there is nothing to even import also. So wherever you require or whenever you require in any program, you can take the advantage of these functions on the list. So that is also one major advantage what we have in the Python. So most of the operations what we generally want to perform on the collections, that everything is available. Just you need to understand what is the use of that and how to use it. And as usual, reverse will help you to reverse the array. So obviously if I'm writing simply reverse, so your output will be now 30 10 20 10. So if you observe the difference between this and this, see, when you go for sort reverse, it will reverse the array with sorted manner. But when you go for val dot reverse, simply it is how the list will be, simply it will reverse the similar way. Okay, and now remove, its name itself is telling if you want to remove some element. So if you remove some particular element, it will remove from the respective list. Okay, if you have the multiple values, it doesn't delete all the values. First occurrence it will delete, second occurrence it will keep like that only. Okay, and val dot pop will remove the last element only. So if you consider this one, your output will be 10 comma 10 comma 30. Okay, but if you consider this output, so 10 comma 20 comma 10, because the last element will be deleted. Clear, the name itself is telling it will clear everything, so it doesn't make any data, but still list will be there, but it won't be there any data, so that means empty list. But del keyword will completely delete the array list also, it doesn't make any reference also, but clear will only touch the data. So likewise, these are all inbuilt functions as per your requirement, anything we can use or anything you can utilize in any program. Okay, so I'm just reiterating. So insert is used to insert new value at given position. Okay, similarly append, insert new value at last position by default every time. Okay, extend will merge the two list, so two list ni merge చేస్తుంది ఇది. And count, as I mentioned already, number of occurrences of given value. సో ఒక వాల్యూ ఎన్నిసార్లు రిపీట్ అవుతుందో ఇస్తుంది మీకు. And index, as I mentioned, will give you position of first occurrence, no, the last occurrence, first occurrence of given value. Okay, sort, anyway it's clear, will sort the array, sort the list. Similarly reverse also will reverse the list. Okay, and anyway, so remove will remove the, it will delete the specified value. Okay, and pop will delete last value. So by default last value only remove చేస్తుంది. Clear will delete all the values, all values. Okay, so yeah, so these are the different functions available in the list in Python and operations we can perform. And also, so these are the basic things we have to understand about list. Okay, and indexing, slicing. And as I mentioned, so tuple is quite different from the list. We can't perform these are all functions on the tuple, because as I mentioned already, tuple can be only constant, that means we can't do any operation. So just we can do these basic operations whatever I told you here, that we can do, but we cannot perform any other than that operation. But how we will do that all practically, so that I will cover in the next class. So in the Monday class I will show you different examples on list and as well as tuple. Tuple I will explain, and I will take the examples for list and tuple. So by that we will conclude that these two, list and tuple, and then we can go for set differently, because set is somewhat different from these two. So that will indicate in the upcoming classes. Okay, so if you have any doubts, please ask me, or else I will share the video, just do the practice. So do you have any doubts or anything? Any doubts or any questionnaires about on this all concepts? And if you want to practice these all operations, very simple, Nana. For example, if you want to do that directly, you can open the any Python program. For example, if I'm taking these examples only 10, 20, 30 example, okay. So first print this particular value, like okay, directly you can get all the values, and now do the operation. For example, you can perform val dot append, for example 40, okay. Now again print the val. So like this, before operation and after operation you can try all the operations. Now you can run it, so you can see the difference of the outputs of the respective operation. So like that you can understand the difference between the before and after operation, and what is the exact meaning of the operation also. So like that you can try all the functions whatever I explained here, so that might give you some clarity on that. But anyway, these are all I will show you on the execution wise also in Monday class, and along with some more examples also I will cover, okay. So I think no one is asking, we can